Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into an important conversation that's been on my heart for years now. The methods being used to start microlocs and why some of them simply aren't appropriate for professional work. I've been increasingly surprised and honestly disappointed to see how often novice techniques are used to establish the foundation of a style that demands strength, refinement, and true skill. In this video, I'm going to break down the trending methods I've been seeing and why so many people might be choosing them, and most importantly, why these shortcuts can lead to low quality and even damaging results for clients. This isn't about judgment, it's about raising the standard and preserving the professionalism that Microlocs truly deserve. This is a replay of that I've done a few years ago. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Welcome to Ask Me Monday. For many years, I've been talking about strong, refined locks that have a really strong foundation. And recently, in the past few years, well, not even, I've been talking about problems with lock methods. But what I want to do today is show you putting these lock methods to the test. I'm demonstrating 3, and you will get to see in my little demo the beginnings of what I talk about when I talk about how they evolve. All right. There's a lot of pop-ups coming up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I've done back here. Actually, I'm going to show you the pictures first, and you can see time lapse of what it looks like now. Okay. So in a few recent years, with the explosion of YouTube and DIYers, some people may or may not have known how to start their locks in the way that typically small microlocs were started for strength. And so there were other methods that were started or people starting their locks with. And so you see in this picture on the mannequin, there are 3 ways. On your left is the interwoven. In the middle is the braid. And to the far right is a 2-strand twist. Again, this is not a human. I understand that. And I understand her hair texture is not, typical of the average Black woman that gets locks. But it is demonstrating something I want you to see. Yeah, you can see it a little closer in this picture. Do you see already? I used the same exact amount of hair in each section. It's the same exact amount as if I was doing a foundation. And you can already see right from the install size the differences, with the 2-strand twist being the largest, the middle braid being widest, it's flattened, and the interwoven being skinnier, right? So what I want to show you is, do you see, but I can't zoom in, so the next picture should be zoomed in. There you go. Do you see all the space that is in between, that's starting to come out already of the 2-strand twist? The space that's there. And then you can see the braid is much tighter, but it also has a pattern that has it in its pattern has the space in it flattened. And then you see on the left the interlock. So what I did was the same exact way that I would do an install. You see, I've labeled them here. I did a light wash, just a very light wash, like I would do any new install. First of all, I'm wondering how much that is actually being done, because the first wash is, it's actually crucial to the installation. I don't see it being done sometimes. So that doesn't give you an accurate look when you just have a 2-strand twist dry, or braid out, or a braid dry, or even interwoven lock dry. You actually are not going to still get a realistic look until you activate that curl. Because you stretched out the curl, it's in a style. So after a light wash, Let's look at what they look like. So already you can see the differences in the two strands right away. That changed the most. And then the middle is the braid, and the left is the interwoven lock. I'm gonna zoom in. That's not a good picture. Let me zoom in some more. There we go. So I'm gonna ask you who's watching, can anybody just think of how this will affect locks just based on what you see in the picture? How that could have, and even if the curl pattern is tighter, even the curl pattern is different, we're talking about the fundamental structure. If anyone wants to comment and tell me what you see. And I'm gonna bring you the mannequin. Oh, come on, computer. Look at all this noise. Because this is dried. Got the fan behind me. Dried out. Let me get my white paper. Look at that difference. Same hair. Same size. Different look. Now, what I see close up that you might not be able to see is that I see spaces in the braid as well. And the loosening that sometimes happens at the bottom of the braid. So what can typically happen, not all the time, but can happen, is that the unraveling can start from the bottom sometimes. And also sometimes these spaces, because it's flat, I could turn it that way it's skinny, I could turn it that way it's wide. It the holes in there, it becomes a big project if we're gonna close it all up. And the interwoven lock, yes, that could happen as well, but it's designed to lock cylindrically. And the way that it started, it should have a point where the hair should not, it's harder for it to unravel. All right, I see some comments. The unraveling looseness looks like a big problem. Yeah. The twist will come out puffy and unravel. The braid will start to pull in thin. Mm-hmm. Strength. And I'm not saying this is everybody's problem. I'm not saying especially for DIYers, sometimes I think I sense defensiveness sometimes, and I'm gonna be real. I have PTSD from YouTube back in the day, so sometimes my response, they're like, "Whoa," and I'm like, because I'm not a DIYer, I'm not an amateur, and I'm trying to help others who find information helpful. But if it's not happening to you, great. But I do know, just looking at the same exact hair on the same head, that if your locks look great, fine, that's great, that's what you want. But if you wanted it smaller, more refined, and you started in another method, it could potentially be the method that used to start. And it could also mean if there's any problems that where's the pattern? The pattern in the twist is it's very weak. It's easy for me to just stick my finger in and unravel, right? And again, the braid is not necessarily the same problems as the twist. It's just more of the way that it could potentially unravel and the way that it locks. All right. So I've heard, we just finished boot camp, and I've heard this through the years. Sometimes people start the method that they start with because they may not know how to do interwoven lock method, or how to maybe do some of the refinement techniques. And so if it's just a matter of that, I would encourage people, if they truly don't want to start the way they started, to think about how to get the support to start it the way that you want to start it, or be able to have on hand or know yourself how to repair. And it's very hard to repair your own locks in the back. It's kind of hard to repair my own locks in the front unless it's all the way down here. But if I had needed repair, I'd go to a skilled loctician. And if that person is not available, or it's hard to find, then that can you don't want to be stuck with things that need to be addressed and they just keep going, and it actually can create more problems. So what about those who use different methods every time they retighten? Start with interlock and comb. Yeah, that's going to be starting with interlock. then comb coil. For Microlocs, absolutely do not recommend. I didn't even test it. Her hair is not even curly enough. I wasn't even going to play myself trying to do it. You would just see a big patch of hair or a big curl. And then the two-strand twist, then palm roll and go back and then go back and forth. So I have had a client that started with palm roll, then um, moved over to two-strand twist. And I'm sorry, he started with palm roll, moved over to interlocking, interwoven lock, interlocking. And he would kind of go whoever he could, like if he can get his stylist to do it or he could come back to me, he'll switch methods like that. But the thing that I did, because he was coming from someone with two-strand twist, Lord, y'all, it's Monday. He was coming from someone I was palm rolling his hair. When I interlocked it, I had to make sure I interlocked it in a way that was seamless and consistent. And if I show you a picture, I don't have it. He didn't consent to showing a picture. His locks are very long and consistent, same. There's no bumps, there's no lumps. You can't even tell that he ever had went back and forth. And there's technique and skill to that. You can go back and forth with technique and skill, but not back and forth between coil. And I don't recommend. You can't even starting. The only way you can do two-strand twists is if you started and then you interlocked it, and that becomes problematic for a lot of people who've done that because now they're like, I have two different techniques drastically. Like get however many inches you start with, and then your roots. So as your roots grow out, it's a whole different technique. It's a whole different pattern. And it's locking, as you can see. Just imagine this interwoven on top of this two-strand twist. Imagine this is the root, and then this is the end. You can imagine how that will look. It'll look tight, tight. You see the size discrepancy already. The size discrepancy. But guess what? Guess what locticians like myself have had to do? Repair and actually lay a solid foundation on that lock. But that's I don't recommend. I don't recommend that technique. But texture plays a role absolutely. So your daughter started with braids. Her braid pattern is almost gone. So braids are going to evolve differently. The second daughter started the same way, and her braids look the same as when I started to. Yeah, hair texture definitely plays a role in it. And the rule of thumb always is the tighter the coil, the tighter the hair, the easier to lock, the less problematic it tends to be for our clients. I always say it's like good hair reversed. Do you know how we were taught that curly, silky hair is good hair, and that 4C hair, like my hair, was called bad hair, nappy hair. And actually, in this side of this lock world, it actually is what I used to say. Everyone's hair is good hair, but I say your hair is absolutely good hair over here. It is. It locks a lot faster. It locks a bit tighter, but still, even with it locking faster and tighter and being less problematic per se, it really matters how you start it for it to look the way you want. Because even if I had textured, let me show you with my let's say this is 4C hair. You're going to do a two-strand twist, right? So if I were to two-strand twist this, yeah, the hairs might stick together a little bit. I'm doing kind of doing a makeshift thing here, but it's going to maybe be a little more compact than if it were looser, but just for the sake of demo, I don't know if y'all can see, but I'm gonna show you when I'm done. Y'all can see. Okay. Can y'all see? So let's say I'm two-strand twisting this, right? A hot mess, first of all. So yeah, it might come together a little bit better. I said I do it real super tight. So I think the purpose is you don't want it an install to look, oh, it looks similar to what the other ways that Microlocs has started. You want it not to look similar. You want the foundation to be what is necessary for it to evolve the way that you want it to evolve. But I'm really speaking to on a professional level again, and for any DIYers who want to take the advice. I don't tell DIYers what to do with their own hair, but I will give advice for those who are open to seeing what's best for them. This is a twist with that kinky hair, right? But if I were to, maybe next time I'll do it, start it with a braid or the interwoven lock technique, it's already going to be skinnier because this okay, I'll tell you what I see too in a chair spot like this. Let's say this might get hard, but this spot might be softer, spongier, a spongier lock with a lot of space in between that is making it bigger than what it should be. So also the pattern is a lot weaker in the sense that there could be weaker points. It could, when the hair does the funky things that it does sometimes, where it will get thin and then you can literally pull the lock off. Like when locks get older and more mature, um, that is going to be even easier to do on that. So you are right, Facebook user, about, oh, I should put your comments up because they're really good comments you guys are leaving. If anybody on IG has any comments, I'm primarily focusing on the Facebook group. So if you want to see what I'm doing, come on over. So Mira said, the unraveling loose looks like a big problem. The twist will come out puffy and unravel. The braid will start to pull in thin. That's somebody's, Sandra said strength. Absolutely. And this is that question about using the different methods. What we talked about. Skill is needed if you go in between interlock and palm roll. Bigger lock. Oh yeah, I didn't give the disclaimer. I'm not talking about palm rolling Microlocs. I'm talking about big locks, traditional size locks. Otherwise, it's gonna be a hot mess with Microlocs if you do this. It's gonna be a hot mess. It's gonna be so inconsistent, so problematic. Even if it look passable and you know, there's the structural integrity of the foundation of the entire lock is all over the place. It's not going to evolve evenly or consistently. I say if you're going to do another method, stick with it. But you can't, with the problem with two-strand twists, you can't get the new growth. You have to interlock it. And that's why historically that has not been a foundation of these small locks. It's not been, don't you think people have thought about starting locks that way, this size, for years before Sister Locks came out and formalized the system? And then, we were inspired by Sister Locks to innovate upon strengthening and more techniques, but never once did it include starting a foundation with two-strand twist or braids. But my braids is a little bit stronger, so I'm not too mad at it. It's just how it locks. I know that gets sometimes, I don't know, people, I say sometimes people get emotional. Hair is emotional. I'm a therapist. I pick it up and I just say, for me, I would have loved to have that advice. The time that I started my locks was a different time. There was no YouTube at all. YouTube wasn't even out. It was just internet photos and me speaking to actual pros and going to pros. So we never had a conversation about the method. So now I'm hearing people tell me that they're going to quote unquote locticians or pros that are saying pick a technique you want to start with. And right off the bat, to me, that's pretty odd because as a pro who would see hair, I've seen hair now that I've started almost 15 years ago. Clients have their locks that I've started from 2009. I can see the progression, but I've never seen the progression of a two-strand twist that long because it wasn't done that long ago. And I've seen braids a little longer. I do have a friend of mine. She has a popular brand, and she started her locks with braids. Her locks are very nice, but she did have to go get it interlocked at the root and get some work done to them. And so she's the person I can see with long term with braids. But I just say when I hear those stories, a lot of people don't know. I didn't know when I started what the heck was being done in my hair. I had no idea. And my loctician wasn't going to tell me because not that she wasn't going to tell me. She was, it was just like, you got paid for training if you want to know what I'm doing. But I knew her work was good and I knew her professionalism was stellar. So I didn't have to question her. But I remember when I wanted to get trained and she told me what she was doing, I was like, oh, wow, that's a very, that's fantastic. I see how that technique makes sense because I see how my hair is moving around it. when locticians are like pick a pattern, people don't know sometimes. They're like, what? And then it's just problematic all around. So we don't train on that in Microloc Master. We do train on the technique that provides the best results that have been proven to get, long term. And I did want to put this to the test because I wanted to see in real time, just from a quote unquote install, the differences that happen right away, right away. So, what was the other question? Yes, and texture plays a role. Um, we also have someone in boot camp that started her daughter's locks with twist, and she's noticing her, some problems. Her daughter's very young, so she's considering taking down an entire install that took her forever to do. It's hard to do an install on a child, but she started to notice. And when she didn't have information, that's why she did two-strand twist. So that's why I put information out there, not for people who started it that way to get upset, but to say that there are people who are on the fence or don't know or would appreciate knowing just how it does, how it will lock. So look at the 4C hair with the two-strand twist. Look how fat it is. It's very fat. It's very puffy. Yeah, so that is what I wanted to talk about today on Ask Me Monday. If you have any questions that you would like answered, you can actually go to microlocquestions.com. I made it a little bit easier. And it may not even be questions that you want to answer publicly. It could be, I'm trying to get the banner up so I can put this. It is microlocquestions.com, and also, yeah, those two. So we have two things going. So microlocquestions.com, and also we are opening enrollment. Actually, I still have more of a slideshow to show you. I forgot. I put some slides up here with some more info. Okay, so that was wet, right? The 3 methods wet. And now we're seeing the 3 methods dry. Okay, and now we're gonna talk about the most commonly reported problems. These are the problems that people report with their hair. Weak locks, locks that break. That's probably the top repair that I've been doing since the very start. I remember, my first 2010, people were coming in with Ziploc baggies of broken locks. Locks unraveling. Usually, again, texture matters with that. So there would be more of a problem with a looser texture. Uneven shape, size, or bunching. Make this a little bigger so y'all can see. The hairline locks not staying, not locking. Hair thinning, hair balding. And not necessarily due to pulling or tugging or problems with the professionalism of the stylist per se, but sometimes it has been something that I've heard, especially with a specific tool that was being used that has moving parts, which is why my hair tool doesn't have moving parts and why the ones I promote don't have moving parts, because it was catching and it actually was ripping people's hair out. But sometimes also being tightened too tight was another issue, and it would do like the alopecia. Attention alopecia could become an issue. Lack of skill with styling, that's, just people, that's a minor thing. Some people either don't know how to style, don't want to, and they don't have to style, but sometimes they want to. And proper maintenance routines has also been a big question. How to properly take care of their hair, of their locks. I always say it corresponds to the stage. Very important that you know your stage that you're in, so that you know the proper routine for that stage, and also what proper routines you need to be doing as your hair progresses. And even older, more mature locks, mine's almost 15 years, I still have maintenance routines that I need to do a specific way that are different from previous years. So maintenance routines is a really important part. Hi, good afternoon. Hi, IG. You're quiet, so I didn't. And IG, this might be the last time that I go live on here. If you want to join the Facebook group, you can join the Facebook group. I was seeing how many questions you guys were going to ask today because you did ask a lot the past 2 Mondays. But when it's really quiet, I tend to want to keep things exclusive to the Facebook group. If you have questions, feel free to throw them in. And these lives don't stay up. So if you at least skip out, it's you got to go in the Facebook group to watch the whole recording or our YouTube. So, a strong foundation is absolutely necessary for the long term strength, refinement, and look of your Microlocs. It's the foundation upon which you build everything else on. A skilled loctician from the beginning knows how to lay your foundation so that it'll evolve in a certain way. They know what they can predict what to expect. They can eyeball your hair texture and know where to pay more attention to. They will make sure that they do that through each and every session. You should not just have someone sit and do your roots and throw you out, even if you have 4C hair in the very beginning. That should not just be the only thing. That can be what's being done as your hair locks beautifully and strongly, and you don't have to do anything else to it. But when I can see neglect, clear, easy, quick fixes that were not being done, I'm feeling the person's been shortchanged. They've been, they could have had a better result. And you're putting your hands your hair in the hands of a pro. So it's very necessary to do that. I think that was my last. Yep, that's my last slide. So yeah. So thank y'all for joining Ask Me Monday. If you find my information valuable, let me know. If you don't, let me know. I'm only trying to help everyone. I do get very passionate about people having a good experience and people being professional and working in integrity. So I'm hearing, because I keep hearing things that just don't make any sense. I've even seen someone do an install and only interlock an inch and leave an afro. And sorry if I offend anybody, but my jaw was on the ground, and I was like, how does someone think that was good? That was okay to call the Microloc? Just call it a root locked afro, because that's not going to lock. And then I don't understand. So if someone doesn't know how to do the interwoven lock technique at a high level of skill, there's ways that you can learn how to do it. Besides YouTube, YouTube is what it is, but there's ways that you can troubleshoot and really refine your technique so that you can get what you want. Because I'm going to tell you, you invest in your knowledge of getting what you really want, the payoff is 10 million times more. It's 10 million times more, especially if you want to be a pro as well, or be an advocate for your hair looking fabulous, and also you not worrying and you just feeling good every day you wake up, is what is worth it. Thank you so much for your input. All right, we will. If you have any questions, you're watching a replay, let me know you're watching a replay. Drop the link in the bottom. Check your email if you're on our email list. If you're on our wait list, especially check your email. And microlocquestions.com is a site just to capture your questions. You have specific questions in any area: Microloc basics, Microloc extension, Microloc reattachment, repair, grooming, coloring, cutting. Any questions that you have, it'll help filter out your question, and then give you a couple of resources. All right, take care.
If you're serious about building a strong foundation in Microlocs and Microloc extensions, make sure you get your copy of the Microloc Standards. This book is designed to give you proven methods and real industry standards to create healthy, beautiful Microlocs with confidence. You'll find the link in the description. I know it's going to be an essential resource on your journey. If you've ever thought about really mastering this craft, whether for yourself, your family, or to build a thriving business, then this is your moment. I'd love to welcome you into the Microloc Mastery Training and Certification Program, the first and only professional system of its kind, certified by moi, the coiner of Microlocs, and trusted by certified stylists all over the world. In this program, you'll get fully trained and certified. You'll learn the advanced techniques. You'll gain access to exclusive tools and resources. Best of all, you'll join a powerful, supportive community of Microloc professionals who are making a real impact. This isn't just about doing hair. It's about building legacy, confidence, and freedom. And I'll be honest, we only do promotions only a few times a year, and the spots do fill up quickly. So if you're feeling that excitement or that little nudge, don't wait. Let this class be your first step toward mastery. Tap the link to learn more and join us. Your Microloc journey and your legacy starts now.